Welcome back to our channel where we uncover the hidden treasures in everyday pocket change and reveal the history and value behind coins that most people overlook. Today we will take a deep dive into the world of the Washington quarter dollar with a special focus on the 1990 mint mark quarter. This coin may appear ordinary at first glance, but its story and its value in today's collector market will leave you amazed. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video you will see why the 1990 Washington quarter dollar is worth as much as $90,754 in its highest graded condition. To understand the 1990 mint mark quarter, we must begin by exploring the origins of the Washington quarter series. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features a bust of George Washington facing left with the word Liberty above his head and the phrase, "In God We Trust," to the left of his profile. The reverse from 1932 until 1998 displayed a heraldic eagle with wings spread perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. The Washington quarter has gone through several design changes over the decades, but the 1990 issues still carried the classic eagle reverse. Before the state quarter program began in 1999, the 1990 mint mark quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, which produced hundreds of millions of these coins that year. Many people assumed that because a coin was minted in high numbers it could never become valuable, but rarity in coin collecting is not just about mintage, it is about condition, demand, and special errors that make certain pieces unique. While billions of Washington quarters have circulated since the 1930s, only a select few survive in pristine, uncirculated condition or feature rare mistakes that make them worth a fortune. Now let us talk about the Denver Mint in 1990. The D mint mark is found on the obverse side of the coin just to the right of Washington's ponytail. At the time, the Denver Mint produced over 600 million quarters for circulation. The sheer volume makes most 1990 quarters worth only their face value of 25 cents. But here is where collectors become very interested, because among these millions, only a tiny fraction survive without scratches, bag marks, or wear from circulation. A perfect, or near perfect coin graded by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can soar in value. In terms of metal composition, the 1990 quarter is made from a copper nickel clad, which is a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. This composition began in 1965 after the United States Mint removed silver from quarters. Before 1965, quarters contained 90% silver, making them valuable for their metal content alone. By 1990, the clad quarter was firmly established, and so the intrinsic metal value was only a few cents above face value. This means that any great value assigned to the 1990 quarter comes entirely from rarity, condition, and collector demand rather than precious metal content. One of the most important aspects to consider is grading. Collectors rely on coin grading to determine quality, and thus market value. The scale runs from poor, which is a grade of 1, to mint state, or MS, which ranges from 60 to 78. Perfect mint state 70 coin shows no flaws, even under magnification. For the 1990 Washington quarter, extremely high grades such as MS 67, MS 68, or even MS 69 are very scarce. These are the coins that fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auctions. A coin that might look shiny and uncirculated to the naked eye may still only grade MS 64 or MS 65, which could be worth only a few dollars, but a near flawless specimen graded MS 68 could cross into the five-figure range. For example, collectors have documented sales where the 1990 Washington quarter in mint state 68 has sold for values upwards of $90,000. A record-setting price was achieved when one of these coins graded MS 68 by PCGS sold for more than $90,754. This shows the extreme difference between an average quarter and a flawless gem condition quarter. Errors and varieties are another reason why 1990 quarters can be valuable. Some coins left the mint with doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or other striking mistakes. A doubled die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between strikes, leaving a doubled image on the lettering or details. Collectors prize these errors because they are rare and visually distinct. An off-center strike where the design is shifted away from the center can also bring big premiums depending on how dramatic the misalignment is. A clipped planchet error where a piece of the coin blank is missing before striking can make a 25-cent piece worth hundreds or even thousands. The market for the 1990 quarter is driven by both serious coin collectors and Investors who see rare coins as an alternative asset with fewer high-grade examples surfacing every year, the demand continues to outpace supply. Serious collectors often bid aggressively at auctions, pushing the price of top-quality coins to new heights. Auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have seen fierce competition whenever a 1990D Washington quarter in high-grade crosses the block. This has cemented the coin's reputation as a modern rarity despite its seemingly ordinary appearance. But what makes this coin so fascinating is the idea that it could still be out there in circulation. Imagine finding a 1990D Washington quarter in your pocket change today. Most likely it would be heavily worn and only worth face value, but there is always the chance of finding one that has been preserved in remarkable condition. Perhaps it was saved in a bank roll or tucked away in a collection decades ago. If such a coin grades highly, it could transform into a jackpot worth tens of thousands of dollars. Let us explore more about the history leading up to the 1990 coin. The late 1980s and early 1990s was a period of transition in United States coinage. While the basic designs of the quarter had not changed yet, plans were underway for the state quarter program, which would debut in 1999. Collectors were already paying closer attention to modern issues, realizing that pristine examples of ordinary dates could someday command big premiums. By the time the 1990 quarter was struck, more collectors were saving rolls of new coins directly from banks, hoping that future generations would value them higher. This means uncirculated rolls do exist, but finding coins that grade MS68 or higher remains extraordinarily rare. Let us also consider the impact of third-party grading. Without services like PCGS or NGC, it would be nearly impossible for buyers and sellers to agree on the quality of a coin. High-dollar coins require certified grading to ensure authenticity and condition. For the 1990D quarter, this step is essential. A raw coin without certification may sell for a few dollars or even a few hundred depending on the eye appeal, but a certified MS68 coin can skyrocket past $90,000. Now we can reflect on the collector psychology behind such coins. Why would anyone pay so much for what is essentially a 25-cent piece? The answer lies in rarity and perfection. Collectors strive to complete sets, and when a certain date and mint mark combination is difficult to find in flawless condition, it becomes a key date. The 1990D in high grade is exactly that. It is not about the coin's face value or metal content, but about owning one of the finest known examples in existence. We should also take a moment to compare the 1990D quarter with its Philadelphia counterpart. The 1990P mint mark quarter was struck in similar high numbers at the Philadelphia Mint, but again high grade examples are elusive when comparing populations certified by PCGS and NGC. The Denver issues have slightly fewer top-graded coins, making them even more desirable to collectors. This difference helps explain why the 1990D and MS68 reached such astronomical prices. The story of this coin also provides a lesson for anyone interested in coin collecting. Never assume that modern coins cannot be valuable. Even coins minted in the billions can hold treasures if preserved in exceptional condition. Every year more collectors are realizing the potential of modern clad coins, and the 1990D Washington quarter stands as proof of this fact. So let us recap what we have learned. The Washington quarter began in 1932 as a tribute to George Washington. The 1990D mint mark issue was struck at the Denver Mint in massive quantities, making it common in circulation. However, condition is everything. High-grade examples certified by professional grading services have sold for more than $90,000. Errors and varieties such as doubled dies or off-center strikes also at great value. Collectors prize these coins for their rarity, perfection, and historical importance. As we close this deep dive into the 1990D Washington quarter dollar, let us remind ourselves that treasures can still be found in plain sight. The next time you handle pocket change, take a closer look. You may be holding not just 25 cents but potentially tens of thousands of dollars worth of history and rarity. This is what makes coin collecting such a fascinating hobby. It combines history, art, and treasure hunting all in one. And finally, the current market value of the finest known 1990D Washington quarter dollar stands at $90,754, making it one of the most valuable modern quarters in existence. Thank you for joining us on this journey into coin history. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, like, and share so more people can discover the hidden wealth in everyday coins. Stay curious and keep checking your change, because the next great discovery could be right in your hands. The 1994p mint mark Washington quarter dollar is one of those coins that may look ordinary at first glance but carries a very unique history and an astonishing current market value of $64,876. To understand why this coin is so important, we need to go back in time and trace the story of the Washington quarter itself, because the history of this coin does not start in 1994 but much earlier, when the United States Mint first introduced the Washington quarter in 1932. It was created to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, who was the first president of the United States. The design chosen for the quarter was made by sculptor John Flanagan, whose portrait of Washington on the obverse side became a lasting image for decades. From 1932 until 1998, the Washington quarter maintained this classic design with only small changes, and in 1999 the state quarters program would later bring a brand new look. But for collectors, the earlier quarters, including the ones from the 1990s, hold a special place because they mark the final years of the traditional Washington quarter design before the state series transformed the quarter into a collectible sensation across the nation. The 1994 P quarter was minted in Philadelphia, which is indicated by the P mint mark located on the obverse side of the coin just to the right of Washington's ponytail ribbon. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions of these coins for circulation, but not every coin is the same, and this is where rarity, value, condition, and collector demand come into play. While most of the 1994 P quarters remain in circulation and carry only face value of 25 cents, there are certain high-grade examples and unique varieties that have fetched astonishing prices in the coin market. The highest recorded value for a pristine condition example of the 1994 P mint mark quarter stands at $64,876, making it one of the most shocking valuations for a modern-era quarter. Let us break down why a coin that is less than 40 years old and struck in large numbers could be valued this highly. First of all, condition is everything in coin collecting. A coin that has circulated heavily with scratches and wear is usually worth only its face value, but if the same coin has been preserved in mint state with sharp details, no scratches, bright luster, and full strike, then it can command thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars from serious collectors. For the 1994 P quarter, coins graded by professional services such as PCGS and NGC in the highest possible grades like MS68 or MS69 are extremely rare. Most examples fall in the MS64 or MS65 range, and while those may bring a small premium, only the finest known examples achieve sky-high auction results. Another factor that boosts the value is the presence of minting errors or varieties. Collectors love coins that show unusual features such as double dies, repunched mint marks, off center strikes, or missing design elements. Although the 1994 P quarter is not known for a wide variety of dramatic errors, there are still a few notable examples that draw attention. For instance, certain quarters from this year have shown slight doubling on the lettering or the date. Others have been discovered with planchet errors where the coin was struck on an improperly prepared blank. These unusual pieces always attract heavy bidding at auctions and can increase the value significantly. Now let us look closer at the historical context of the 1994 quarter. By this time, the United States Mint was preparing for the transition to the state quarters program, which would begin in 1999. Collectors were beginning to pay more attention to quarters of the early 1990s as they realized the classic Washington design was nearing its end. This added interest to high-grade examples, especially those struck in Philadelphia, where mass production sometimes resulted in weaker strikes compared to Denver minted coins. Finding a sharply struck quarter from Philadelphia in perfect mint state condition is far more difficult than most people think, and that scarcity has contributed to the high valuation we see today. Imagine an ordinary person receiving a 1994 quarter in change from a grocery store purchase, and simply keeping it aside because it looked shinier than usual. Years later, upon submitting it for grading, they might discover it is one of the finest examples ever known. That exact scenario has happened with several collectors who unknowingly held on to a coin that later sold for tens of thousands of dollars. It is a reminder to all of us that treasures still circulate in our everyday pockets, and that coin collecting is not only about old rare pieces from centuries ago, but also about more recent coins if they are in spectacular condition. Let us also talk about the metal composition of the 1994 P Washington quarter. Unlike the silver quarters of the early years, the 1994 version is composed of copper. and nickel-clad specifically. It is made of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This gives the coin its silvery appearance while being far more economical to produce compared to 90% silver quarters of the past. The coin has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters and a weight of 5.67 grams with a reeded edge. Even though its composition is not precious metal, its value lies in rarity, condition, and collector demand, not in the metal content. When studying the market history of the 1994 P quarter, we see that average circulated examples still trade for only face value. However, coins graded MS66 may sell for around $50 to $100. Coins in MS67 can jump to $500 or more, but the moment a coin reaches MS68 or higher, the value skyrockets because so few exist in such condition. This is why one particular coin in this elite grade sold for the staggering figure of $64,876. It was a record-breaking sale that shocked the collecting community and reinforced the importance of condition rarity. Another aspect of value comes from collector psychology. Many people today want to own the best example of a coin, and the registry set competition run by grading services has fueled bidding wars. Collectors building registry sets compete to acquire the highest graded coins available, and this drives up prices dramatically. So even a modern clad quarter from the 1990s can achieve incredible auction records if it is the finest known piece. For coin enthusiasts, this story offers both inspiration and caution. It inspires because anyone could theoretically find a valuable coin in their change if it is preserved perfectly, but it is also a cautionary tale because not every shiny coin is worth a fortune. Professional grading is required to truly determine if a coin is top quality, and only the rarest examples achieve those life-changing values. Let us reflect on the broader historical importance of the Washington Quarter series from 1932 to 1998. The design by John Flanagan became an American classic representing stability, tradition, and the legacy of George Washington. The 1994 P quarter is part of this long lineage and stands as one of the last years before the dramatic change to the state quarter program that reshaped American numismatics. For collectors who specialize in Washington quarters, the 1994 P is a must-have because of its potential high value and its position as a transition year coin. So how can you as a viewer identify if your 1994 P quarter has potential value? First, examine the coin under bright light and look for full details in Washington's hair, the lettering, and the eagle on the reverse. Check for luster and make sure the coin has minimal contact marks, scratches, or wear. If the coin looks like it just left the mint and has exceptional eye appeal, it may be worth sending to a professional grading service. Always handle coins carefully by the edges to avoid fingerprints and damage. Store them in protective holders to preserve their condition. The world of coin collecting is full of stories where ordinary coins turned into extraordinary discoveries. The 1994 P mint mark Washington quarter dollar with a record value of $64,876 is one such story. It proves that even modern coins can hold immense value when rarity, condition, and collector demand all come together. So the next time you receive a quarter in change, take a closer look because you might just be holding a small fortune in your hands. The legacy of the Washington quarter reminds us that history lives in our pockets, and sometimes that history is worth far more than 25 cents. Welcome back to our channel. Today we are diving deep into the world of coins and rare treasures that many of us may have seen in our everyday lives but never realized their true worth. We are going to uncover the amazing story behind the 1995 P mint mark Washington quarter dollar coin, its fascinating history, and its unbelievable current market value, which has reached as high as $54,898. Yes, you heard that right, a quarter that was originally worth just 25 cents is now worth a fortune, and today you are going to learn why. Let us begin by traveling back to the roots of the Washington quarter. The quarter dollar coin featuring George Washington was first introduced in 1932. It was designed to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of the first President of the United States, George Washington. The design quickly became a symbol of American pride and identity. The obverse, or the front side of the coin, featured a left-facing bust of George Washington, while the reverse side initially showed a heraldic eagle with spread wings holding arrows and olive branches. This design remained the standard for decades and became one of the most widely recognized coins in America. Fast forward to the year 1995, and the United States Mint was still producing Washington quarters, but with some differences compared to earlier years. By then, the quarter had already undergone Changes in metal composition in the 1960s due to the rising cost of silver. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, but from 1965 onwards they were struck from a copper-nickel clad composition which consisted of a pure copper core sandwiched between layers of copper-nickel. This change was done to save money for the mint and to keep up with the increasing demand for coins. The 1995 Washington quarter with the P Mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia Mint is the oldest mint facility in the United States, and it has produced billions of coins over the centuries. The P Mint mark, located just to the right of Washington's ponytail, is what tells collectors that this particular quarter was made in Philadelphia in 1995. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters, so at first glance one might assume that these coins are too common to ever be valuable. However, the truth is that certain examples of the 1995 P Washington quarter can be worth a shocking amount due to rarity, condition, and collector demand. Now let us talk about why this coin is so special. First and foremost, condition plays a huge role in determining value. A regular circulated 1995 P Washington quarter might only be worth its face value of 25 cents, or perhaps slightly more to a casual collector, but an uncirculated coin in mint state condition, especially those graded by professional coin grading services, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A coin graded mint state 67 or mint state 68 with strong luster, sharp details, and virtually no visible marks can command incredible prices at auctions. Another reason the 1995 P Washington quarter is so sought after is due to certain errors and varieties. Coin errors are accidental mistakes that happen during the minting process, and they make the coins unique. Examples of errors include double die strikes, off center strikes, missing letters, or unusual markings. Some 1995 quarters are known to have slight variations or striking errors, and these make them even more desirable to collectors who love owning pieces of history that stand out from the rest. Let us paint a clearer picture. Imagine finding a shiny quarter in your pocket change and later realizing that it is an uncirculated 1995 P Washington quarter with a rare error, and then discovering that coin collectors are willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars for it. That is the kind of dream that excites coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters alike. The Washington quarter has always been more than just pocket change. It has served as a representation of American strength, leadership, and history. Every time you hold one in your hand, you are connecting with the story of George Washington and the heritage of the United States. And when it comes to the 1995 P quarter, that story becomes even more thrilling because of the jaw-dropping value that certain pieces can fetch in today's market. Now let us look at the numbers. When the 1995 P Mint mark Washington quarter is found in average circulated condition, it usually holds a value of around its face value to perhaps $1, but when you step into the higher grades such as Mint State 65, Mint State 66 and beyond, the value increases dramatically. Some of the finest examples have been auctioned for incredible sums, with one reaching a current market value of $54,898. This is a staggering figure for a coin that was once used in everyday purchases like buying a candy bar or a newspaper. The coin collecting world is fueled by passion, history, and rarity. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that not only look beautiful but also carry significance. The 1995 P Washington quarter has gained a special place in this world because it checks all the boxes. It has historical importance as part of the long-running Washington quarter series. It has rarity when found in high grade or with unique errors, and it has the potential for outstanding financial value. Think about it. The thrill of coin collecting is that anyone anywhere could stumble upon a treasure without even realizing it. Millions of these quarters were struck in 1995, but only a handful survived in pristine, uncirculated condition, and even fewer with special qualities that make them unique. That is what gives them such powerful value. The hunt is what excites collectors. Every pocket of change, every jar of coins, every forgotten roll in a drawer could hold a piece worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars for many collectors. The 1995 P Washington quarter is not just a coin but a symbol of opportunity. It reminds us that history is alive in the smallest objects, and that something as ordinary as a quarter can tell an extraordinary story. The market for rare coins is always evolving, and as more people discover the hobby, the demand for top quality coins continues to grow. With demand increasing, prices rise, and rare coins like the 1995 P quarter achieved legendary status among collectors. Now let us imagine the journey of one such quarter struck in the Philadelphia Mint in 1995, released into circulation, passed through the hands of countless people, perhaps used in vending machines, coffee shops, or toll booths. Maybe it sat in a cash register or rattled in the glove compartment of a car for years, and then one day someone noticed that it was not just any quarter. They looked closer, saw the P mint mark, saw the condition, and realized it was something truly special, and from that moment its destiny changed from everyday currency to a rare collectible worth a fortune. When we talk about the current market value of $54,898, we are looking at the perfect storm of factors: rarity, condition, demand, and timing. Auctions can drive prices higher when passionate collectors compete for the same piece, and with the rise of online platforms, it has become easier for collectors worldwide to connect and bid on the coins they desire. This global demand has only made rare coins even more valuable. As we move forward into the future, the legacy of the Washington Quarter continues with newer designs and commemorative issues, but the classic coins from the 20th century still hold a special place. The 1995 P Washington Quarter stands as proof that not all coins are created equal. Some carry a value far beyond their intended worth, and some hold stories that captivate generations. So what can you do if you want to find out if your 1995 P quarter is valuable? First, check the condition. The shinier and sharper the details, the better. Second, look for unusual features such as doubling off center strikes or other errors. Third, consider having your coin graded by a professional. Service grading authenticates the coin and provides a clear grade that collectors and buyers trust. This can dramatically increase the resale value if your coin is of high quality. At the end of the day, coin collecting is not just about money, it is about preserving history, appreciating craftsmanship, and feeling the excitement of discovery. When you hold a 1995 P mint mark Washington Quarter, you hold a piece of history that has lived through decades of change and progress, and if you happen to own one in pristine condition, you may also be holding a treasure worth $54,898. So next time you come across a quarter, do not just spend it without a thought. Take a closer look. Who knows, maybe you have a hidden gem in your pocket, and maybe, just maybe, you are holding the key to a small fortune and a piece of American history that is priceless. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the fascinating world of the 1995 P Washington Quarter. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about rare coins and treasures that could change your life. Stay curious, keep searching, and you never know what valuable discovery might be waiting in your change jar. Welcome back to our channel where we uncover the hidden treasures in your pocket change. Today we are going to talk about a coin that might be sitting right inside your collection or maybe even in your wallet, and yet it carries a story of history, rarity, and an unbelievable current market value that has stunned collectors all around the world. I am talking about the 1996 D mint mark Washington Quarter. Now, when most people think of quarters, they see them as everyday spending money, a simple 25-cent coin that gets used in vending machines, laundromats, or parking meters. But as you will learn today, this one specific year and mint mark can make all the difference between an ordinary coin worth just face value and an extraordinary coin valued as high as $76,896. Let us start with a bit of history so we understand how this coin even came into existence. The Washington Quarter first appeared in 1932. It was originally struck to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the very first President of the United States. The design featured the familiar profile of George Washington on the obverse side, while the reverse displayed a bold eagle spreading its wings with arrows and olive branches, a perfect balance between strength and peace. In 1996, the Washington Quarter had already been in circulation for more than 6 decades. It had survived the Great Depression, World War II, and countless economic changes in America. By this time, the coin was being struck at multiple mints across the country, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The D mint mark, of course, indicates the Denver Mint in Colorado, which was responsible for producing millions of quarters in that year. So you might be wondering, if millions of these coins were minted in 1996, why would any of them be worth thousands of dollars? The answer lies in rarity, condition, errors, and collector demand. The Denver Mint struck over 925 million Washington quarters in 1996, which makes this coin seem extremely common. But among those millions, there exist very special examples that have been preserved in pristine condition, graded by professional services, and sometimes struck with unusual minting errors. These are the coins that collectors chase and pay enormous sums to acquire. For example, if you hold a 1996 D Washington quarter in uncirculated condition with no scratches, no wear, and absolutely sharp. Detail. It can already be worth far more than 25 cents. Coin grading agencies like PCGS and NGC assign grades on a 70-point scale, and coins that achieve a grade of MS67 or MS68 become incredibly valuable. The difference between a coin worth just a few dollars and one worth tens of thousands can come down to the sharpness of the strike, the brightness of the luster, and the absence of even the tiniest marks. Now imagine a 1990 60 quarter that has been preserved for nearly 3 decades in flawless condition, stored carefully, and never spent. That coin has the potential to fetch astronomical prices at auction. In fact, the record sales show that certain examples of the 1990 60 Washington quarter have crossed into territory that seems unbelievable, reaching a market value of $76,896. When news like this spreads across the numismatic community, it reignites the passion for searching through pocket change and old rolls of quarters. Collectors know that treasures still exist, and sometimes they are hiding in plain sight. Let us take a moment to explore why this specific year and mint mark stands out compared to others. For one thing, the Denver Mint quarters from 1996 were produced with certain die varieties and striking anomalies that set them apart. Some coins showed doubling on the lettering or the date, others might exhibit off-center strikes or misaligned dies. These minting errors make them far more collectible because each one is unique. Then there is the condition factor. As mentioned earlier, it is extremely difficult to find a coin that has survived decades without a single flaw. Most quarters get scratched, dinged, and worn down within weeks of circulation, so when a flawless 1990 60 quarter appears, it instantly becomes a numismatic treasure. Another fascinating point about the Washington quarter series is that in 1999 the design changed completely. The U.S. Mint launched the 50-state quarters program, which replaced the traditional eagle reverse with designs celebrating each state. That means the 1996 quarter represents one of the very last years of the classic eagle design, and collectors often look at it as a final chapter in that long era. That also boosts the demand and emotional appeal for the coin. So how can you tell if the 1990 60 quarter you have is valuable? The first step is to check the mint mark. Look for the letter D just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse. If the coin shows that letter, then you know it came from the Denver Mint. Next, carefully examine the condition. If the coin looks crisp with bright surfaces, no scratches, and no dullness, you may already have something worth submitting to a grading service. Professional grading will certify the condition and provide authenticity, which collectors rely on when bidding at auction. A coin graded MS67 or higher could potentially be worth thousands, and if by chance you hold the rarest example with perfect attributes, it could be the one valued near $76,896. Auction houses have seen heated bidding wars over coins like this. Wealthy collectors are willing to pay record-breaking amounts just to own the best example known, because in the world of rare coins, the highest graded specimen often becomes the crown jewel of a collection. The prestige of owning the very best drives prices sky high. Now let us imagine the journey of one of these coins. It may have been struck in Denver in 1996. Rolled into bank bags and stored away. Instead of being spent decades later, it surfaces in an unsearched roll discovered by a sharp-eyed collector. The coin is submitted for grading and comes back with an MS68 grade. Suddenly a simple quarter has transformed into an asset worth tens of thousands of dollars. For many collectors, stories like this provide inspiration. They remind us that hidden treasures can still be found in everyday money, and that the hobby of coin collecting continues to thrive with excitement and discovery. But what does this mean for you? If you are watching this video, it means you now have the knowledge to check your change more carefully. Start with the 1996 quarters in your possession. Pay special attention to the mint mark and the condition. Even if you do not find the $76,000 gem, you might still uncover coins worth $20, $50, or even several hundred. That is a significant return on just a quarter. Remember too that coin values fluctuate with the market. As more collectors become aware of these rarities, demand increases and prices climb. That is why the 1990 60 Washington quarter continues to be discussed and researched by numismatists. Another aspect worth noting is the role of historical significance. George Washington remains one of the most respected figures in American history. The Washington quarter carries with it not just monetary value, but also a symbolic representation of leadership, freedom, and the birth of a nation. Collectors often feel a sense of pride owning such coins because they connect them directly to American heritage, so next time you pick up a quarter, take a closer look, especially if it is dated 1996 and has that tiny D under the motto "In God We Trust." You never know what you might be holding. It could be an ordinary coin, or it could be the rare gem that changes your financial future. As we wrap up this journey into the 1996 D Mint Mark Washington Quarter Dollar, remember that coin collecting is about more than just money. It is about history, discovery, and the thrill of the hunt. It is about appreciating the artistry of design and the stories behind each coin, and it is about the possibility that something so small could hold such enormous value. The 1996 D Washington Quarter stands today as proof that even in modern times treasures still exist in circulation, and with a market value reaching $76,896, it deserves a place among the most sought after modern quarters in American history. Thank you for joining me in this deep dive into the history and value of the 1996 D Mint Mark Washington Quarter Dollar. Keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, maybe the next rare treasure is already sitting in your pocket right now. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to dive into one of the most fascinating pieces of United States coinage history, the 1998 D Mint Mark Washington Quarter Dollar coin. This coin may look ordinary at first glance because millions were produced and circulated across the country in the late 1990s, but there is a story hidden within its design, its production, and its value that turns an ordinary piece of change into a collectible treasure worth thousands of dollars. Right now in the coin collecting world, the 1998 D Washington Quarter has caught major attention because certain rare varieties and pristine conditions of this coin have been selling for extraordinary amounts, and the current market value of the rarest pieces has reached a staggering $32,876. Let us begin with the history of the Washington Quarter itself so that we can fully understand the background of the 1998 Denver minted issue. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 as part of a nationwide celebration of the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The idea was to replace the standing Liberty Quarter design that had been in circulation since 1916 and create a coin that would honor Washington's enduring legacy. The Treasury Department and the Commission of Fine Arts held competitions for the new design, and in the end it was sculptor John Flanagan whose portrait of George Washington was chosen for the obverse side of the coin. His design showed Washington facing left with a simple yet bold profile that has now become one of the most familiar images in American coinage. From 1932 all the way until 1998, this design remained the same with very little change. The reverse of the Washington Quarter featured an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows surrounded by olive branches, symbolizing both strength and peace. It is important to note that the year 1998 was the final full year that this eagle reverse was used, because beginning in 1999 the United States Mint launched the famous 50-state quarters program. That program changed the reverse designs every year to honor different states, and it became one of the most successful coin collecting initiatives in American history. This means that the 1998 quarter holds a special place as the last regular year of the traditional Washington Quarter eagle reverse before the transition into a completely new era of design. Now let us focus on the mint mark itself. The 1998 D Mint mark indicates that this quarter was produced at the Denver Mint in Colorado. The Denver Mint has a long and proud history of striking coins for the United States since it opened in 1906. In 1998, millions of Washington quarters were struck there, with the D Mint mark placed just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse side of the coin. While the total mintage number was very high, most of these coins were made for general circulation, meaning they were spent in stores and used in daily commerce. However, only a very small number of them have survived in nearly perfect mint state condition, and it is those coins that have captured the attention of collectors today. What makes a 1998 D quarter worth thousands of dollars when most are only worth 25 cents? The answer lies in a combination of condition, rarity, and collector demand. Coins that are graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC can achieve very high values if they are determined to be in superb mint state or proof-like condition. A mint state coin graded at MS67 or MS68 with flawless surfaces, sharp details, and brilliant luster can bring extraordinary premiums, because so few examples survive in such condition. Additionally, certain die varieties and errors in the 1998 D quarters have been identified. These include double die obverse varieties, off-center strikes, planchet errors, and even die cracks that can make a coin unique. Collectors are always on the hunt for these special varieties, and when two or more collectors compete for a rare coin at auction, the price can skyrocket to incredible levels. One of the reasons the 1998 D quarter has reached a current market value of over $32,000 is because of auction results in recent years. Serious collectors recognize that this coin is the end of an era, the last Eagle reverse before the state quarter program, and that makes it especially appealing. When preserved in the highest quality, it represents not only a piece of history but also a transitional collectible that bridges the old and new in United States coinage. Coin shows and online auctions have seen fierce competition whenever a top-graded 1998 D quarter appears, and this has driven the value higher and higher. Let us talk a little more about the historical context of the late 1990s to understand why this coin matters beyond just numismatics. In 1998, the United States Mint was already preparing for the launch of the 50 state quarters program that would start the following year. Collectors and the public were excited for this new series, which promised to bring fresh designs and renewed interest in coin collecting. Little did they know that the humble 1998 Washington quarter with its traditional eagle reverse would soon become a nostalgic piece representing the end of 66 years of continuity. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of coins that year, but most of them entered circulation and experienced heavy wear. Only those that were carefully preserved by collectors or accidentally saved in pristine rolls and bags survived in gem condition. If you are holding a 1998 D quarter right now, how do you know if it is worth thousands? The first step is to examine its condition. A circulated coin with scratches, dull surfaces, and heavy wear will only be worth face value or slightly above. However, a coin that looks brand new with no scratches, bright luster, and sharp details might be something special. Submitting such a coin to a grading service is often the best way to know its true value. Coins that grade MS66, MS67 or higher are the ones that can bring serious money. And if you happen to find one with a recognized die variety or striking error, its value can multiply dramatically. Collectors also care about the story a coin tells, and the 1998 D quarter tells a story of both tradition and transition. From 1932 to 1998, Americans saw the same Washington and Eagle design on their quarters through the Great Depression, World War II, the Cold War, and into the digital age of the late 1990s. Then suddenly in 1999 the designs changed every year to celebrate the states. This means the 1998 D is a coin that represents both the past and the future. It is a snapshot of a moment in history when one era of coinage ended and another began. That alone makes it appealing to serious collectors who appreciate the symbolic importance of the piece. So why is the value specifically $32,876? That number reflects the highest reported sale of a superb gem 1998 D Washington quarter in recent auctions. When coins of this grade and rarity appear, the bidding wars can be intense. Collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay extraordinary sums to secure a piece that is not only rare but historically significant. Keep in mind that the vast majority of 1998 D quarters are still worth only 25 cents, but that tiny percentage of coins in perfect condition is what drives the market to such impressive highs. Now let us imagine for a moment that you are a collector or even just someone going through pocket change. You find a shiny 1998 D quarter that looks nearly flawless. Would you dismiss it as just another coin, or would you take the time to study it carefully? Many people overlook such coins because they assume newer coins cannot be valuable. Yet, as we see with the 1998 D Washington quarter, rarity and value are not always about age but about condition and uniqueness. This is why it pays to educate yourself and to check every coin you encounter, because you never know when you might stumble upon a treasure worth thousands of dollars. In conclusion, the 1998 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin is a piece of American history that combines tradition, design, artistry, rarity, and collector passion. From its origins in the 1930s to its place as the final Eagle reverse issue before the 50 state quarters program, it carries a story that resonates with both longtime collectors and new enthusiasts. While most examples remain common and worth only their face value, a select few in pristine condition or with rare varieties have reached staggering values, with the current market high standing at $32,876. This remarkable number proves once again that in the world of numismatics small everyday objects can hold extraordinary worth, and that the coins in your pocket might just change your life if you look closely enough.